Good afternoon, everyone. This is Allen Murabayashi joining you from PhotoShelter World Headquarters here in New York City. You are listening to I Love Photography Live. Maybe you're watching the video of this at youtube.com/PhotoShelter, or you might be listening to the podcast by going to iTunes and searching for I Love Photography and subscribing to the podcast. PhotoShelter makes the best websites in the world for photographers. And as usual, I'm joined by Sarah Jacobs. Hey, Sarah Jacobs.
Hey, Alan. How you doing?
You like how I put that little product promo in there?
Yes. I mean, it's true. It's 100% true. So
it's totally true, and we very rarely talk about PhotoShelter, so I thought I'd just throw that in there for people who didn't know what it was.
Good.
Well, and we can talk a little bit more about PhotoShelter, because the first thing that we wanted to share with everyone is an upcoming webinar. We do a lot of educational things at PhotoShelter, and we have a webinar coming up with Justin and Mary. If you've been to WPPI, you clearly know who Justin and Mary are. They're kind of superstars. They're great wedding photographers who share a lot of information. And this webinar is on developing worth and brand as a wedding photographer.
And Alan, you'll be hosting that?
I will be hosting that, and we have a special little giveaway as part of that.
Yeah. When you attend the webinar, you're entered to win a Tamron lens, 24-70.
That's like, to me, that's the perfect focal length.
I want that lens, and I'm really sad that I can't be entered to win the contest.
Yeah, because you're one of those employees of PhotoShelter or Tamron.
That whole thing.
Excludes you.
Yes.
Yeah, that whole thing.
That whole thing.
You know, the weird thing about Tamron is, 10 years ago, if you asked me whether I want a Tamron lens, I would have been like, eh. Now, if you ask me, I'll take it in a heartbeat.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what's changed for you?
Well, I just think that the third-party lens manufacturers have decided that quality is going to be a differentiating factor rather than just price. They're still much cheaper than the standard camera brand lenses, but the build quality and the image quality is so significantly better. So this is actually exciting. It's not like we're giving you a crap lens. This is like a really, really nice lens, 24-70 from Tamron. So thank you, Tamron, for helping us out with that.
Yeah.
I was talking to Peter Krogh. Peter is a well-known author of the DAM book, the Digital Asset Management book. And he said, yeah, I'm going to South by Southwest next week, or South by, as the natives like to call it.
Yes.
And, as many people know, South by Southwest is a festival of music, movie, and technology that takes place in Austin, Texas. And as we went through like our 20th snowstorm yesterday in sub-30-degree freezing weather, I was like, man, Sarah, remember the time we went to Austin?
Yes. Yes.
Who organized that? Who organized that little conference we went to?
We went to Texas Photo Roundup, organized by Jasmine DeFoore.
And check this out. Over on PhotoShelter Lattice, and for those of you who don't know what it is, Lattice is a little curation tool that we built in PhotoShelter. Jasmine actually curated a set of photos of Austin, and I'm going through these, and I just remember like a lot of these places.
Yeah. Oh man, Austin is the best.
Yeah,
I'm from Dallas.
The weather and the food.
Yeah. It's all just so good. I know I'm getting homesick just looking at this stuff.
I know. There's some really nice photos here. I guess also just because it's been a pretty brutal winter, as we talk about like every show.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is the new normal. Like the weather is really weird, and so we have to talk about it before we talk about photos.
It's true.
Let's talk about photos.
But yeah, let's go to photos now.
Okay. Well, I'm loath to even bring this up because we've been talking about this literally for like 3 weeks now. And the topic is World Press Photo Contest. There's been a lot of controversy. Every year there's controversy. I mean, contests, there's always controversy. Photojournalism contests have even more because there's always questions about manipulation and staging and all this kind of crap. When the announcement came out a few weeks ago of the winners, the World Press revealed that 20% of the winners had been, or the penultimate round had been disqualified for manipulation. So they had some forensic guy go in there and check them out and came back to the jury and said these are going to be eliminated because there's too much manipulation on these. So that caused a whole ruckus. How could 20% of the penultimate round And there's people saying you got to reform this and reform that. And then the mayor of a town in Belgium complained about the first place prize in one of the categories. I think it was like feature story or something like that. And he said, this is not an accurate portrayal, and some of this stuff has been fabricated. So then there was a whole nother brouhaha where WorldPress did a 3-day investigation and said, no, everything's cool, even though clearly some stuff had been staged. So there was another uproar, and then 2 days later they said, okay, we've actually retracted the prize. Not because of the staging of photos, but because one of the captions incorrectly listed where the photo was taken.
Oh, it was listed as the wrong town, right?
It was listed as the wrong town, and they're like, okay, so that's the reason why. So, whatever. WorldPress unfortunately suffered some credibility loss as a result of this series of issues. And again, you can point the finger at WorldPress. I mean, I think that they could have done a better job. But on the other hand, to me, it continues to show this wide gulf in understanding of what ethics is today.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, you say we've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks, but actually we've been talking about this for the past couple of years.
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah, this needs to get cleared up.
And, I've had some private conversations with different people, different organizations, people who've been judges and whatnot, and that's kind of the direction that people are coming from. Like, things aren't actually getting better at all. They're actually getting worse. Like, you went from 8% disqualified last year to 20%, and then you have another series of ethical questions, which people feel really uneasy about the rate of resolution and the type of resolution on those issues. And so something has to be done.
Well, didn't you say that for manipulation, that with each jury the rules are going to be different for each year? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, I mean, well, each contest has their set of rules, but the problem is that the juries, the judges themselves, there's no continuity between judges. You could literally have a whole new slate of judges from year to year.
Right.
And a lot of these organizations, WorldPress Photo, for example, doesn't actually have an ethics board. So it's a non-issue. I wrote a post about this latest brouhaha, and I said one easy way, because I made some recommendations about how they could do it, including like create an ethics board. And I said, not even to be funny, but I said if doing all of this stuff is too onerous for WorldPress Photo, just change the name to World Photo Contest. And people chuckled at that, like, oh, that's so funny, But look at Sony. Sony doesn't purport to be a photojournalism contest. Some of those images are, manipulated beyond what would be allowable in photojournalism, and it's a great contest.
Yeah, it is. We gave it 4 stars in our guide.
Yeah, they're not operating from some weird pretense about, not weird, but it's not the same constraint, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want to work so hard to talk about ethics and outline stuff and talk about ethics as it changes over the years, because it changes. Our understanding of what's ethical has changed.
I believe NPPA is actually having a live Twitter chat today.
Oh, hey.
At 1, yeah, about the ethics of photojournalism and these contests. So I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Enough with WorldPress Photo. We hope that the discussion continues. We had an inquiry. Do you remember who sent us that note?
Which one?
About C University.
Well, was it Jeremy himself?
No, it wasn't Jeremy. I think it was one of our PhotoShelter users. I apologize. I don't have the email in front of me, but somebody said, "Hey, what's up with C University?" So I checked it out. I said, "Hey, I'd seen some stuff floating around on the web. C University, as in S-E-E, University is a new educational website from Jeremy Cower, the celebrity photographer who has been hailed by the Huffington Post as the most influential photographer online today." So let me tell you what I found on C University. C University is currently something like 75 educational videos on a variety of topics, all taught by Jeremy. The annual membership for C University is $407. Let's go down here. I think $497.
Yeah, that's for the basic tier.
For the basic, which is all the videos. Lifetime gives you lifetime access, and then VIP is like he'll show up at your house and cook you dinner and talk to you about photography. Forget about VIP package because of course that's like that's not what most people are going to go for. So do I think that this is a good value? Okay, so first of all, I didn't join, so I haven't seen the actual educational content, but I've seen Jeremy Cowart videos before, and I've watched the trailer, the 2 trailers that he has up there. Super high quality. Like, the guy's a good educator. The video production is very, very high, and $497 is a great deal. This is one of many. This is one of not many. I mean, there's many educational places online where you can learn photography.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of a handful where I think that the price is right and the content quality is good, and he's going to continue to make videos. Sarah, you know I love champagne.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm taking an online champagne course that is, I think it's maybe 12 courses, 12 individual classes, and it's like $500.
Okay.
So this is a ton more content, much better produced, arguably, than the champagne course I'm taking.
Right.
So I think it's a good deal. Now, what are the downsides of this? First of all, well, this is an ad hominem attack on Jeremy. He's a little bit of a self-promoter. So, but it's fine. I think that's fine. He's ability, but he's always like, "Hey, I'm the most influential photographer on the web." So
Yeah.
okay, so but besides that, the only other issue compared to some of the other online education options out there is that everything is taught by Jeremy. So you're not really getting a diverse viewpoint if you think that's important. Now, it's like any class you take, whether it's a yoga class or you're taking a continuing ed class or you take a photography class. What you get out of the class is really, your commitment to the class and how good the teacher is. You could take the same yoga class from 2 different teachers teaching the exact same sequence of poses, and one could suck and one could be awesome. So I think the quality of the teacher is very important, and I think Jeremy's a good teacher.
Yeah, I think you have to really appreciate and like Jeremy's look and style, and that's what you're going to get out of C University is a Jeremy style.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and his style isn't for everyone.
Right.
And clearly, if you're a nature photographer, you're not going to sign up for this.
Right, no. This is for portrait people, lifestyle and portrait.
So, hey, $500, and his point is compared to the price of going to like photo school.
Yeah,
which is totally true.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's right. That's off the wall. But I do find it interesting that he compares it directly to going to an art school. I don't know that you can do that. I mean, if you go to art school, you're going to make so many connections. It's
that's true.
life.
That's true. But part of that too is having an art degree, like having a BFA. I don't think ever did anyone any favors. Like, does anyone ever? It's different if you're like a doctor or a lawyer or a CEO. That you went to Harvard Business School or you went to Stanford Business School. But
Right.
No one's ever hired a photographer and said,
Oh, you went to you went to SBA. Okay, I'll hire you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so congratulations on getting that out. And by the way, he dedicated the site to his brother, who passed away of a heart attack suddenly last year. So our hearts go out to that. That's a very nice dedication for Jeremy. There has been a set of photos that had gone around, and they said these are incredibly realistic computer-generated imagery. And so you look at this picture of the pen, and you're like, oh my God, look at that shading. Look at the out of focus areas in the shallow depth of field. And here's one of an Oreo. So people went like crazy. And then the photographer or the person who posted them came out and said, well, they look so realistic because they are. They're just photos.
They're just regular photos.
So it's the Tumblr account Hyperreal CG by the artists David O'Reilly and Kim Lofton, and it's just funny.
They even fooled Huffington Post Tech, which honestly they should have done their research. Like,
But
come on.
Huffington Post will post anything, so that
I
shame
know, but
on
it's just
them.
another. I know it's just another thing where it's like, man, you journalists do a little bit of back
I
research before
know,
you
I know,
publish stuff.
I know. So he started tweeting. David started tweeting. It was a joke, and then he posted this, fire hydrant here with his shadow in it.
His own shadow taking the cell phone picture.
Yeah, it's a funny hoax. But to me, the larger issue is at a certain point, like computers and computer artists are so good, you can't tell the difference. So at some point, these conversations are going to be irrelevant.
True.
At least for the rendering of a still photo. When we're fooled by motion and like a person's face and artificial intelligence, then we have to worry. But an Oreo cookie, I'm not, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not freaking out over it.
Yeah. Speaking of stock photos, it was a big week in stock photos on the web.
What happened?
Well, we saw the photos that Vince Vaughn put out
Oh
for
yeah.
the promo of his new movie,
Yes.
which were very funny.
Hilarious.
But we're not going to share those because everybody saw those already. We talked about a set of photos that the COO of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, worked with Getty to create the Lean In stock photo collection based on her book, Lean In. And she helped curate, or I'm not exactly sure what her contribution was to this. But she said, hey, let's create a set of photography that's empowering to women, that's contemporary in style. And
yeah,
so
that represents different types of women, and the new women.
So here are the 3 top-selling photos from the Lean In collection, from Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In collection on Getty Images. The first one is, the caption is, 2 friends riding in the backseat of convertible off-road vehicle, driving on desert dirt road at sunset laughing. Is that even English? That's weird. That's weird construction.
Yeah, that is a strange caption.
Nice photo.
Great photo.
Great photo. Here's the next one. 2 friends. No, wait. The caption for this one. Well, I don't have a caption for this one. It's a man and a woman in like a warehouse setting or a studio setting, looking at a bunch of shoes that have been laid out on the ground. They're obviously fashion designers of some sort. So black man, middle-aged woman, being hipsterish and looking at shoes. And then the third photo is a very stylized, i.e. filtered and photoshopped, image of a woman looking out of a glass window with the sunset streaming through the window.
Yeah, you got some lens flare going on there. Her hands are on her hips, looking powerful. She has short sleeve blouse on, which is, I think, significant in that she's not like a stuffy businesswoman like we see in so much stock.
Yeah, which is great. But you know what? The weird thing about this stuff, and maybe just because I'm not afraid to say I'm kind of liberal. None of this stuff really was very shocking to me.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. It's just very contemporary, nice looking stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really get the sense of like these women are powerful, but maybe it's there. Maybe I'm just used to. My mom's a very strong personality, so let's talk about myself.
That's it, Alan.
Well, anyway, I'm pro this. I'm pro good contemporary stock photography, and this is
in general. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's cool. Over on Slate, a really nice set of photos of moms and their daughters taken by the photographer Rania Matar, who worked as an architect and then started taking photos. And, these are really, really nice, naturally lit portraits.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They remind me, I feel like we've looked at a few series of daughters with their dads,
Yeah,
or daughters.
The weird one that we looked at.
Oh yeah, that was super weird.
The purity ball ones.
Yes, the purity ball. That was bizarre. This is way more natural and relatable for the general public.
So she's Lebanese, and so she travels back and forth between the U.S. and Lebanon, and she takes photos. And I gotta say, I mean, there is a lot of emotion embedded in these images. And the other thing, which I mean, we all see this. Obviously, these people are related. You really see the physical characteristics that are similar, and there's something almost there's something a little bittersweet about these images for me.
Hmm.
I think because you kind of see a passage of time. Particularly, it's one thing to have a teenage daughter and kind of a middle-aged woman, but this one above of obviously like an older woman who may or may not have all her faculties with her, and her daughter, and you can see the daughter's red eyes like welled up, like
Hmm.
that like kind of kills me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting for all the images she chose, you kind of, because there are some daughters, right, like you said, that are teenagers, and their body language towards their mothers is totally different than the older daughters, right? Like,
Yeah,
but then I love the relation, seeing the relationship through how the women are touching, if they're holding hands, some are
yeah.
lying on the bed together. That really gives you an insight into how close and physically comfortable they feel with their moms. It's a real slice of who they might be. It's great. I really like her work. I remember her series, Girl in Her Room. Do you remember that?
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's some of her earlier work, and it was just portraits of just girls, teenage girls in their rooms. But I really feel like her work has gotten a lot stronger, and I really love this series.
She's a great photographer, and this
Yeah,
image, I mean, you see how the mom and daughter, first of all, they look like they could be sisters, and second of all, they're
absolutely.
dressed the same.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities there. So really, really nice stuff, Rania. Love it. You found this nice piece in the New York Times Magazine about Jim Krantz, and if you don't know who Jim Krantz is, he's the guy who shot the Marlboro Man ads that were subsequently appropriated by Richard Prince, who
Right.
we're not the biggest fan of Richard Prince.
Yeah, I put this one on the dog, Alan, because I know you've kind of spoken about how you're not super into Richard Prince and that, it's not fair to the photographers that he's ripped off and used. And I'm happy to see that Jim Krantz is now going to get some recognition for his work shooting cowboys out in the West. He's going to have his own show
His
at
own show.
yeah, his own show, which is fantastic here in New York at the James Danziger Gallery. So.
And let me tell you, I was looking at some of these images and seeing them online, I'm sure just doesn't do them justice because you're looking at these epic landscapes of the American West. And in a lot of cases, like this photo that we're looking at, the photo of the cowboy and his horse in many cases is very, very small in the frame. And to really appreciate the sense of scale, I think you need to see this thing on the wall,
Yeah,
as a 20-foot print.
I'm gonna have to stop by.
Yeah, I know it's some really, really nice work, and as you said, I'm psyched that Jim finally got some like his own show. I mean, people knew who he was because of the brouhaha. I keep using that word over the fracas with Richard Prince, but it's great to see him get a show. All the links that we're talking about today you can find on our blog at blog.photoshelter.com. I mean, it's nice to listen to our mellifluous voices, but it's also nice to look at the photography. So
Right. We
we
can't
encourage you to
describe
check
it
that
that
out.
much.
Yeah. PDN has a great interview with Pam Chen, one of my favorite people. She's the editorial director at Instagram, formerly of Media Storm and National Geographic. I got to see Pam at the National Geographic Photographers Conference in January, and she's just a lovely, lovely person. And this was a pretty insightful interview about how they find photographers and photography to showcase in the Instagram account.
Yeah, she talked a lot about what they look for when they're figuring out who to feature. And she actually mentioned that, that no, you don't have to have a gazillion billion followers already on your own in order to be featured. A lot of it is just how you engage with your followers, how you engage them in conversation, to expand, she says, to expand their impact beyond the initial visual communication. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and it echoed a lot of things that we've talked about before, which is the story behind the photo is arguably as important, if not more important, than the photo itself. And I
Hmm.
think that's in part, I mean, they showcase a lot of great photography, but they also showcase illustrators and people who are just doing things in their community and capturing things on their photography. Two of the people that she mentioned, the first is Matt Slaby.
Yeah, shout out to Matt.
Hey, Matt Slaby. What's up, at Matt Slaby? Great friend of PhotoShelter. He's spoken at some of our conferences. He's contributed to a bunch of guides and blog posts and whatnot. Follow that guy. And then the second one, Kiara Goya. She actually worked at PhotoShelter many moons ago as a photo editor.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, rad. I'll have to follow her.
Yeah, totally. She's got some really, really nice stuff. So this is, if you want to learn a little bit more about how they find people, and Pamela said, we find a photographer, then we see who they're following, and then we kind of go down this rabbit hole. And then, if you're followed by a great photographer, then maybe you'll be found as well, because they're finding people very organically. They're just trying to find some great content. The next piece of photography that we're looking at is Instagram by a photographer filmmaker named Ateeq. I have something to tell you about Atif.
What's that?
Atif also worked for PhotoShelter as a photo editor.
No way.
Yeah, so this is kind of the former employees of PhotoShelter. But Atif is photographing the Desi Muslim community in New York City. Atif also just recently got married, and he was live tweeting his marriage. I think that's what it was. Live tweeting his marriage.
Live tweeting his marriage or his wedding day?
His wedding. His actual ceremony. Is there a difference? I don't know. But anyway, back to this photography project. I knew at the time he's a really, really great photographer. And he was doing kind of a mix of cool, the cool scene in New York City, as well as doing some more serious portraiture. And this is kind of the stuff that he's posting on Instagram now. Some really, really nice images of the Muslim community. And all black and white. And I don't know whether he shot, it looks like he might have shot it on film. I don't know. I can't tell. But it looks like a lot of it could have been framed originally for 6x6. Because it's some really, really nice stuff. That's on BuzzFeed. Atif, man.
Wow, BuzzFeed pulling in some good work there.
I know. They've had some really, really good work. Some of the stuff on Ukraine and whatnot. Some really great photography. The New Yorker, obviously known for their long-form journalism pieces, but they do have the photo booth section, and they've had some really, really great photography. Avedon, of course, being one of their staff photographers before he passed away. But in this particular project portfolio, it's a Coney Island winter with photography by Yoongi Kim of Contact Press Images. Yoongi, we've talked about her before because she's a hardcore veteran photojournalist who's covered a lot of wars and a lot of dicey situations around the world. But she's been hanging in the U.S. for a while, and she went out to Coney Island during winter. Let me tell you something about Coney Island.
What's that?
It's a very over-photographed place, as is much of New York.
Yeah, true.
But there's a lot of people who got to Coney Island under the guise of being street photographers and take some really crappy photos of Coney Island, right? And it's actually super interesting to see such a good photographer go out there and not at a time of year that a lot of people visit and just kind of kill it. It's like great.
Yeah, this is such a breath of fresh air from her other work, which is hard to look at. This is just kind of fun, and it's nice to see these like quiet images of Coney Island when no one's really there. Everyone's wearing scarves and hats. It's bizarre.
And I'm also digging the black and white.
Yeah.
I'm not always the biggest fan of black and white, but this is really, I think, time of year, as well as kind of influencing why I like it in black and white as well.
I love this shot.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a great shot.
Some really, really nice stuff. I don't even know what to say about this. You've probably seen it because it It went viral this past week, but it's a photo of a weasel riding on the back of a flying woodpecker. And there was some concern at first of whether this was a fake photo, staged or CG'd or whatnot. And it turns out it's a real photo, and the guy has a sequence. I think there might even be a movie. But he was hanging out. Let's find his name. He was hanging out in London, and Martin LeMay walking through a park, and he saw something scrambling, and so he picked up his camera and he shot a photo. And when he looked at it later on, he realized there was a weasel on the back of the woodpecker.
The cutest friendship I've ever seen.
I mean, it's weird. So apparently they were, the weasels are known to jump on things, and woodpeckers are known to take off, and they were in flight for a few seconds, and the woodpecker came down, and the weasel got off, and
he was like, "This is my stop. Let me down." Yeah,
it's just crazy.
See, look, I'm glad he watermarked it, because we all know this photo went viral.
Yeah, loving it. I'm loving the photo.
Yeah.
So here's part of nature. It's a serendipitous scene in nature. Martin didn't stage anything. He was just in a park walking with his wife, and he had his camera, and he pulled it up, and he photographed it. This is over on Petapixel, but it's been covered. Also on Petapixel, kind of in reaction to this photo, they republished an older article. And here was a photo of a frog riding on the back of a beetle that came out like a year ago or something.
See, this is not as cute.
Okay, so let me tell you something about this photo. Okay, so first of all, it's not as cute because maybe bugs aren't as cute as woodpeckers
right.
and weasels, but a lot of people were concerned about this photo being staged. And so they went to amphibian scientists, and the amphibian scientists immediately said that frog is in distress. That is not a natural pose. The mouth should not be open. The hands wouldn't be like that.
Right.
And they raised all of these objections, like would the frog jump on the beetle? Would the mouth remain open? And so the hypothesis is that the frog was in a lot of distress, and I don't know whether it had been drugged or something, but this is not natural for the frog.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah, as it should, and that's really kind of screwed up. Like, well, the photographer, to his credit, said this was a staged photo, but what's the point?
Oh, so okay, this was staged.
This was staged, and this was entered into a contest, the Sony contest, shortlisted.
Uh-huh.
And then concerns. Well, I'm sorry. A similar photo was entered in the Sony contest of a frog on a beetle. And again, there were a lot of concerns about the veracity of the photo, even in the Sony contest.
Well, maybe that's normal for
Leave the frogs alone, man. They have enough problems, all the chemicals in the water. Just let them be.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
Let's end on a happier note.
We love the woodpecker. We don't like the frog.
Right.
Lastly today, more animals. We always end on an interesting note. And here, well, this isn't the... you're looking at a photo of a silverback gorilla, but this isn't the photo in question. The photo in question is a bunch of photographers who were out taking photos of a gorilla. And the gorilla came up and punched the photographer. So here you have a photo of all these photographers around this silverback gorilla. It's like the dominant male. You see him approaching the group, and then he attacks the photographer.
He just grabs onto his hand and camera.
And so some people were saying what had happened was the gorilla was eating on bamboo, and he got drunk from the bamboo. So this goes viral, right? Everyone's like, "Oh my God, the gorilla got drunk on bamboo." So of course,
they're like drunk gorilla photos. Check it out.
So of course he punched the photographer because everybody knows gorillas eat bamboo and they get drunk, right? Everyone's a freaking gorilla expert all the time. And then a few days later, gorilla experts actually come out and they say, "No, you don't get drunk from eating bamboos, and like an 800-pound gorilla does not get drunk from." I mean, he's not 800 pounds, but he's
He
he's a
might be
big
up
gorilla.
there. He's up now.
He's up there. But so debunked.
Yeah, debunked. He actually was just really agitated and pissed off at all the photographers.
As you should be, because you got all these photographers going around.
Yeah. Yep.
Telemarketers have been calling that phone all day long, and I should have unplugged it, but there you go. So apologies for the ringing there. The internet is great because of that fast distribution of information, but then you got to deal with all of this crap.
Yeah, fake CGI photo claiming to be CGI. Gorillas claiming to be drunk.
Yeah.
Frogs claiming to be
Stage frogs.
stage frogs. I mean, we've looked at so many fake things today.
But 1 in 4, you get the Weasel on the Woodpecker.
And then that just brightens your entire week.
And I feel great about that. And I would suggest that more things jump on the back of woodpeckers. Oh, we we forgot to bring up the one parody image. Somebody photoshopped Vladimir Putin on the back of that woodpecker because he's been known to ride some wild beasts. So the shirtless Vladimir Putin on the woodpecker. That was a very funny tweet.
Well, it's included on the blog.
Yes, we'll include that on the blog. So we went from we covered the gamut of photography as always.
Yeah.
But hey, you people out there in internet land who love photography, register for that Justin and Mary webinar over on the PhotoShelter website. Details on blog.photoshelter.com, and you might win that sweet Tamron lens, 24-70. And with that, Sarah, we'll see you next time.
All right. Sounds good.
Jacobs, this is Allen Murabayashi signing off. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.